6.2, more on parallel lines and angles. Yay. Okay, here it says we want to prove the measure of angle, or we want to prove that angle A is congruent to angle G, and you are given that M is parallel to N. What do I start with?
You're given.
Okay, so my given is M is parallel to N. Where can I go from there? I want to prove A and G are congruent. I can actually probably jump straight to there.
Alternate exterior.
Perfect. Angle A is congruent to angle G. Alternate exterior angles. You can abbreviate stuff like I do too.
I already do that.
Yes, perfect. Okay, good. So I only needed one step to get there because I knew that M and N were parallel. Boom. Parallel. Those lines mean parallel. No, that's an equal sign. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, let's move on.
Yes, that makes sense.
There's only 4 slides today because we're doing the same type of stuff. Okay, it says find the measures of all the angles. Okay, it tells us that G is 65 degrees. So if I know G is 65 degrees, I can start solving this in a lot of different ways.
We don't need a proof for this one, right?
We don't need a proof for this one.
Cool.
I just need to know what every angle is. So somebody tell me, what angle do you want to do next? Okay, what is B?
65 degrees.
Okay, why is B 65?
Because those are alternate exterior.
No, they're not alternate.
Corresponding.
No,
We
they're
just
not
did this one.
corresponding. They're not corresponding.
They're not corresponding.
What?
No, C and G are corresponding, so C would be 65
You are
degrees.
correct. C is what's 65.
I don't really care, because I said it first.
C is 65 because it's corresponding with G. Okay, good. What other angle do we want to look at?
H.
Okay, what is H?
Well, since it equals to 180,
It is supplementary to G. Good.
Yes.
So what is 180 minus 65? What did you say? I don't trust your math.
15. 115.
That's what I said.
That's what he said. Okay, so this is 115 because they're supplementary. Tell me, what is F then?
You'll get one of
115.
Why?
Because they are vertical angles.
Good. What is E?
65 degrees because G and E are vertical.
What is
Oh my goodness, why are we?
A is 65 degrees because
Kayla,
they're alternate
stop.
exterior angles.
Yeah.
Yeah, A and G are alternate exterior, or E and A are
Congruent.
But why are they congruent? They are
Vertically.
corresponding.
That.
Corresponding.
D is what compared to E? What are D and E?
Supplement. No.
Corresponding.
No. Supplementary.
They are
alternate
supplementary.
interior angles.
No,
Oh,
D
dang
and
it.
E are,
Oh,
they're
wait.
back to back, so they are
Consecutive.
We win consecutive championships.
Oh, they're
And
back to back.
D and B are
Vertical angles.
vertical. And now I've named every angle.
That was easy.
How is that easy? You guys are going so fast. Exactly.
That's how fast it's gotta go. You gotta start
Can't
cooking.
go that fast.
You gotta start cooking in your
brain
brain.
is
Okay,
slow.
so that is just, we can figure out those things off of one angle. We can figure out everything else because of all the rules we have. And it doesn't matter which way we get there as long as we can back it up with which one it is, okay? You've got
We
this.
should probably do another one.
We are. We're gonna talk about corresponding angles, postulate, converse. What does converse mean again? Remind me. They flip, right? So the corresponding angles postulate says, okay, if I have parallel lines, then these angles are corresponding, okay? So the converse postulate is gonna say, if I know these angles are congruent, then I know these lines are parallel. Because sometimes we might have to prove something is parallel, like on all of your proofs last night, it said these lines are parallel, prove this, right? Okay, so we can use the converse. Now, here's the deal. When you are doing proofs, you have to actually state that you're using the converse. So you would say corresponding angles converse instead of corresponding angles, okay? So the corresponding angles converse says, if the lines intersected by a transversal form congruent corresponding angles, then the lines intersected by the transversal are parallel. So this is when I'm proving lines are parallel. converse goes with when you're proving something's parallel. So when you look at your diagrams, pay attention to what is marked. If they do not have these little arrows on them, they haven't proved that those lines are parallel yet, and you're going to use a converse, okay? When they give you the angle measurements, that means I'm using a converse. See how I said today would be kind of like a review, it's going to intertwine with what we did yesterday. Be like a spider. Yeah. Because we can't. Okay. We have three more
Do we have to write?
converse statements.
Did I just take a picture of something?
Yeah.
My brain.
Three more converse statements, okay? Angle and parallel line theorem converses, okay? So, we have alternate interior angles, right? Where we say if these two lines are parallel, then the alternate interior angles are congruent. Well, this is, if the alternate interior angles are congruent, then the lines are parallel. So you have the alternate interior angles converse, okay? Alternate interior angles converse.
Wait, can you say that in like simpler, like,
If my angles are congruent, the alternate ones,
yeah.
then these lines are parallel.
Okay, so it's all.
Yes. So if you're trying to prove, the only time you're going to use the converse is when you are trying to prove lines are parallel. Okay? The statement will not say given these lines are parallel. The statement will say given C and D are congruent. And you're going to say alternate interior angles converse to prove that the lines are parallel. Okay? So the alternate interior angles converse says if alternate interior angles are congruent, then the lines intersected by the transversals are parallel. Then you have the alternate exterior angles converse, meaning if my exterior angles are congruent, I know those lines are parallel. So if alternate exterior angles are congruent, then the lines intersected by the transversal are parallel. Except for exterior instead of interior. So you have, for postulates, you have an interior angles postulate when you know lines are parallel, you're proving the insides are congruent. You have exterior angles postulate where when you know the lines are parallel, you're proving the exterior angles are congruent. And now we're coming and switching that around. When I know the insides are congruent, the alternate interior angles, I can prove the lines are parallel. When I know the alternate exterior angles are congruent, I can prove the lines are parallel. And then finally, you have the consecutive interior angles converse. Consecutive interior angles. If consecutive interior angles are supplementary, that's the one you guys struggle with, then the lines intersected by the transversal are parallel. So if these consecutive angles on the inside add up to be 180, then I can prove that those lines are parallel to each other. Okay, so you have three converses to go with the statements you had yesterday. Okay, they are just the converse of the conditional statements we did yesterday. That's why we learned conditional, converse, contrapositive, and all of that fun stuff, because we're going to apply it to postulates. Mm-hmm. Now, do you see where we're going with this? And honestly, guys, this is the end of today's stuff. You're gonna use these converses to solve, proofs tonight. Okay? Proofs. Oh my gosh. So yeah, that's what you are working on tonight. Okay? You're gonna use these.
On Thursday.
It is due on Thursday, Carly.
Yay. Oh, that stinks for you.
Oh, I don't have to go.
I'm asleep in the